शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। गुरुः ब्रह्मा विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ काञ्चीवादाय विद्महे करूपाय धीमहि तन्नो चन्द्रशेखरेन्द्र प्रचोदयात्. ಪರಮೇಶ್ವರ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಗಳಾದ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Many best wishes on this Kalpataru day. So we all know the famous story of Kalpataru. Taru means vriksha. Kalpa means all the wishes. A tree which fulfills all our wishes. That is Kalpataru. So there are many versions of this story, as you all know. One person was going in the forest. After a long walk, became tired. It was sunny also. He sat under a tree to take rest. And he thought, if I could get a glass of cold water. And there came the cold water. He drank. Then he thought, it's nice. I'm also feeling hungry. If I only get some nice food and all his whatever delicacies he loves, it came. And he ate. He said, something great. It's good to have a nice bed to sleep. And there came a nice bed. As he was sleeping, then you can imagine the rest of the story. He wanted several maid servants to press his legs, to fan him. Everything tuck happened. He said, why not have a bungalow? The bungalow appeared. Okay, let us not extend the story too much. But now, what was the necessary for water? He was tired. He was tired. He wanted water. Fair. He was hungry. He wanted food. Fair. But other comforts, why did he wanted a nice bed? For what? If you look at the root, he wanted to have happiness, peace. Correct? Why did he wanted a house or maids? Ultimately, it is for happiness, peace, money. Why? Ultimately, for what? Peace of mind. We think money will give, therefore we ask for money. Similarly, name and fame. Why? Suppose if there is some award, and if somebody says, We will become sad with this award and we will give you. This is the nation's highest award. Will anybody take? Nobody will take. Why do you need award? Ultimately, we think that it gives us happiness. And this will go on. Everything is done with the hope that it will give happiness. The root of all our wishes is what? That's it. Whatever we do, it is all ultimately for happiness. We want to be happy. Family, children, husband, wife, everything, the root is happiness. So suppose, because this wish list will, keep growing and it is change and it is very dynamic. Person who does not have any house, suppose he comes to Bangalore, only which is at least one single bedroom house we should have. Look for some 20, 30, build happy. Will that end? It will go to soon 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom house with a posh garden, with a swimming pool. The list is endless. Get Padma Shri, you are not happy. Want Padma Bhushan, then Padma Vibhushan, then Bharat Ratna. If you get that, then you will insist that government should start something higher than this and give it to me. Because there are many Bharat Ratnas. This will go on. But the root of everything is we want to be happy. So this is the dynamic wish list. Instead of asking individually, and many times we also don't know what to ask, instead of that, suppose we ask only happiness. Because ultimately that's what you need. Can you get it? That is the question. And yes, it is possible. If you only ask for happiness, don't ask for any other thing. Name, fame, whatever. Whatever comes, comes. Does not come also okay. But you can definitely be happy. Will this tree give? The answer is yes. The question is, what is the tree? Such trees, fortunately, our country has many. Today we are going to talk about two such trees. One is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, another is Bhagavan Ramana. We'll just try to see because their personalities are so magnanimous. For a small person like me to reflect on them is not going to be ever complete, but something to the best of my knowledge and ability, we'll try to explore. So this day, January 1st, is being celebrated as Kalpataru Day, especially in the Ramakrishna order. So first we will briefly look at what is the significance of this day. We all know Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, one of the greatest spiritual luminaries the world has. So in 1886, he was already suffering with throat cancer. He was not in his good
morning.
But on that particular day, 1886, January 1st. Online, please mute. 86, because by then they had moved the master. Master means Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Some of his disciples, they had all moved to a bigger place. It's the garden house, they called, in the northern Calcutta. So his room was in the first floor. They were taking care of him. But on this particular day, January 1st, he was somehow in the greatest spirit of health. So he woke up and came down. And many of his disciples were there. They were all surprised to see Master walking so energetically, which they had not in the recent past witnessed. They are all very happy. Then there was one student, Girish, who came close by, and Paramahamsa asked him, "Do you think I am?" This is the question. This he had asked several times, but that particular day he asked. And Girish replied that, "I believe you are the incarnate of God. You are an avatar of God. And you have come to bless the humanity." And that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa acknowledged openly. Yes, you are right. And then he went into a state of ecstasy, which is not very uncommon if you read Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And then he touched Girish. And he also went into a state of ecstasy. Mere touch. Touch of the master was so great. And then several other disciples came to him and he touched them. And they all went into a state of ecstasy, depending upon their own level of sadhana. They were able to experience a state which they had never experienced in their lifetime. So this day, where he openly acknowledged that he is an avatar, and also depending upon the disciples, mere his touch was able to fulfill the wishes of many, came to be known as Kalpataru Day. But when we say wishes of many, we should be very mindful that it generally has nothing to do with our materialistic aspiration. It is to do with our spiritual goal. In fact, Swami Shardananda writes that it is very wrong to call it as that day is Kalpataru Day in terms of, your wishes will be fulfilled. But it is beyond that. But if you look at the root cause of all wishes, what is the root cause of all wishes? Happiness, peace, bliss. From that perspective, yes, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is a Kalpataru. And that is why this day, of course, after that day, January 1st, 1886, he lived only till August. Then he attained Mahasamadhi. And it's very important to look at the life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, because he has demonstrated practically, giving some theories, okay, but to practically demonstrate. That is something very unique in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's life. We also look at another parallel, Bhagavan Ramana. The reason is just 2 days before, 30th December, is Ramana Jayanti, birthday of Ramana. So that's why today we are trying to look at or reflect at least some elements in their life. So if you look at the life of Ramakrishna, his birth name Gadadhar Chattopadhyaya. How the name Ramakrishna came, there are many arguments, but yes, he came to be known as Ramakrishna, born 1836, and he was there for 51 years, 1886. And the primary location, even now, the very famous Dakshineshwar, Calcutta. And the main teachings of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa consisted of all the well-known paths like karma, bhakti, jnana, all these things it encompassed. Looking at Bhagavan Ramana, prime location is Tiruvannamalai. His birth name was Venkatramana Iyer, and born in 1879, and he was there till 1950 April. His was more a direct path. He did not condemn any other paths, but he always advocated that just do self-enquiry. That's what he always suggested. Sincerely inquire, who am I? That is the primary teaching of Bhagavan Ramana. So it's a very direct method, and so to say, it aligns with Gnana Yoga, and more specifically, the Advaita, non-dualistic approach. He always believed that this direct method would work. Whereas Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he is more inclusive. He did not dismiss Jnana Yoga, he very much advocated, but his approach also considered of bhakti, karma, or Raja Yoga, whatever you call. So all that he embraced, not only that, he practiced it to the extent that many ignorant people thought that he is mad. So on occasions, people thought that he has gone mad. Only few who knew the heart of Ramakrishna knew the value. When it comes to the rituals and practices, what should be done? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's was very varied. He did advocate all our ritualistic approaches like performing worship, puja. As we all know, he himself did. He was a priest at the Kali temple in Calcutta. He was the, of course, a priest of a different quality. For him, Kali was not just a statue. It was something vibrant, living. That was his approach. And he openly said that anyone can have this darshan, provided you have that bhakti. And he did that. He used to have the darshan of God because that was his mission when he started the puja. For him, puja was not something mechanical. It was something more that there is Kali there in the living form and he is offering the puja. That was his approach. And his approach encompassed the entire humanity, all castes, everything. Bhagavan Ramana was no exception when it comes to other systems, castes, or whatever you call sects. He also was never specific to any one sect. But he did not, by himself, uh, got too much into all the ritualistic things that we do. However, he never said don't do. He said what to do. Direct path. Sit and inquire, who am I? Look at the real nature of the self. So that was his main thing. So that's how you see Bhagavan Ramana always talked very less because his only advice was, in fact, it was called Brahmastra. Anybody, any trouble, he will say, just inquire, who am I? Somebody would go and narrate a whole list of troubles. I am in so much of trouble. Bhagavan Ramana would not talk about troubles. He will say, you said I am in trouble. Now sit and inquire, who is that I? That's all. So Suri Nagamba was an ardent devotee and has written a lot about Bhagavan Ramana in her letters to her brother. So she would often say, oh, Ramana, Bhagavan, you are using this as your Brahmastra. Anybody, anything they say, you say, now sit and inquire, who am I? So that much, this word, who am I, has become so synonymous with Bhagavan Ramana. Therefore, people could almost count the number of words Bhagavan Ramana would speak in a day. Not much. And he never gave any formal lectures or talks. It was just people would come, sometimes he would answer, and somebody would note it down. So that's how many things have come. Otherwise, he has written hardly few on his own, like Saddarshanam, etc. Whereas Ramakrishna was not quite like that. He used to tell a lot of stories, parables, crack jokes, dance, everything, all inclusive. Puja. So for him, everything was okay. And if you look at even now, the legacy of both these illuminaries, there are a lot of devotees of Ramana all over the world, but he never by himself tried to call his own where he was living as his own institute or ashrama. He made it very clear. People came and joined, something happened, so it's more a direct path, and it suits in general for people who have this mindset for non-dualism, Advaita Vedanta. Whereas Ramakrishna, and if you look at Bhagavan Ramana, he did not initiate any formally. He did not call anybody and said, okay, you are my student. You do this, this, this. He never said. All he was saying, whoever comes is self-inquiry. Whereas on the other hand, if you look at Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he was looking for disciples because he wanted the message to be taken to humanity everywhere. And in particularly, he groomed Swami Vivekananda, then called Narendranath. In fact, there are very strange episodes how both of them came into contact. And initially, Narendranath was not all that impressed with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He also thought, what if he behaves like this? That was his general feel. But at the very sight of Vivekananda or Narendranath, Ramakrishna identified him, picked him, that he is going to be the torchbearer of what I want to give to humanity. So after several iterations, in fact, Narendranath, intellectually very strong, and he questions Ramakrishna at every stage, and he encourages. Ramakrishna encourages him, yes, you should question. And there are times when, because of his own personal difficulties at the home, Vivekananda wanted to just get out of all these things. Extremes. One, he was looking for some job to make some earnings for uh, his family, brothers, mother, they were all there. And at sometimes he thought, I will leave everything and go away. I'm fed up. And once he comes to Ramakrishna and says, Master, I'm in such a difficulty. And, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had no hesitation in telling people that, yes, I do talk to Kali. There was no mixing of words. There was no hesitation. And he would say, you too can, provided you have that bhakti, devoid of all the impurities of the mind. So it so happened, Vivekananda, you should remember, then it's still Narendra. He came and said, I cannot do any of these things. Now I need some help. I want some money. I want to support my family. Then Naren insisted to Ramakrishna, you say you talk to Kali. Ask her. Ask mother to give me something. Now I need it. Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, why I should ask? You only go and ask. You ask, she will respond. You are doubtful. Does she talk to me? Yes. You go. So he went to the Kali temple. And by the grace of Guru, he gets that vision. And he was so deeply immersed. This is called immersive absorption, which to Ramakrishna, it happened so often. Because all those people who have tried to meditate knows how difficult it is. Forget about that kind of absorption. Even to focus on something like our own dear body and dear breath is so tough. But this complete observation was something like a play for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So Vivekananda went to the temple and he was able to get that state of complete absorption, and he saw that divine light coming in. And he asked, what did he ask? Give me knowledge, give me gnana. He forgot what he came for. Then that experience was over. Then he came back to Master. Master, did you ask? No, 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 I forgot. Arey, what fool you are. Why did you not ask? Go again. Will she come? She will come. You go again and ask. Don't forget. Second time also he went. Same experience happens. And again he forgets what to ask. He asked, give me just that unabated devotion in you. That experience was over. Again he thought, yo, I did not ask. Came to Master. I did not ask. I could not ask. I completely forgot. What do you mean you forgot? Now you remember, you remember, you remember. Go again, third time. See, because Master is asking, he went. Third time when he went, he sat in the deep contemplation. He became ashamed. He says, I became ashamed. What small thing I am asking? Some money to survive? Is that I should ask with this divine mother? Then that revelation came to him. I should not ask for these petty things. Then he came to the master. He knew that it is all the design of the master himself. Master himself wanted that kind of revolution to take place in Narendranath because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa knew that he is going to be the torch bearer, not only to the disciples who were with him, but to the whole humanity. And rest is history, we all know. But anyway, so this is what happened. That is the connection Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had with Kali. Not only Kali, with whatever he chose. And that's how he used to add. In fact, the samadhis or complete absorption, as he has said, for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, it happened when he was just 6 years old. The first experience. He says he was walking in some agricultural field with that parched rice in a cover, just munching. And suddenly dark clouds occupied the sky, the dark rain-bearing clouds. It was pitch dark kind of thing. And in the field, there were white cranes which flew across. And he saw that white cranes in the background of the dark clouds. He went into ecstasy. He lost external consciousness and simply fell down. And all the parched rice was spread out. People around looked, they carried him home. And that was his first experience. Later, such experiences got repeated. Same thing you can see in the life of Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. After the death of his father, he and his brother were shifted to his uncle's house in Madurai. Both of them came. Mother and sister went to Mana Madurai, another place. So when he was in Madurai, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was a heavy sleeper. I'm sorry, Bhagwan Ramana in his younger days, Venkataraman Iyer, was a heavy sleeper. Sleep to the core. Sleeping so intense that it was very difficult to wake him up. In fact, he was a very strong person. He used to win in any physical sports he used to be the number one. So a lot of his classmates were jealous about him. So when he was sleeping, they used to carry him and hit him. They used to take revenge. And he wouldn't know. On one occasion, his uncles, where he was there, they all wanted to go to temple. They said, we will go to temple and come. He bolted, slept. They all came and trying to wake him up. Nobody could wake him. And even the neighbors joined in shouting, howling, everything. But he was unshaken. So finally, somebody has to enter from the backyard, break something, got in, and look, this fellow is happily sleeping. So that was this. And when he was in Madurai, one day, generally he was hale and healthy, young, but one day suddenly he thought that he is going to die. That death, as though it is gripping. He did not shout or do anything. He decided, okay, let me die. He lied down, made his body tight, and started observing who is going to die. And he started feeling that there is something called self, which is indestructible. What is going to die is this body. So this experience actually changed. So this, another occasion it happened to Bhagavan Ramana. After, when he was in the uh, Ramanashram, he was walking down and there was a huge rock. When he came there, when he was stepping down the hill, there the same experience gripped. He fell down. And the person, disciple near him, wept, uh, hugged him, wept, because there was no pulse, completely dead. This happened for about 20 minutes. Bhagavan Ramana says that he was able to feel all these things, not that he was unconscious. He was able to feel the real self in his spiritual heart center. And after some time, he says the physical heart has stopped, blood flow was stopped, but something from the spiritual heart triggered, and again he regained consciousness and came back. So this is in the life of Ramana. Whereas these kind of samadhi experiences you can see with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa quite often. But to some extent, Bhagavan Ramana also believed in the physical form of God. In Ramakrishna, there is no doubt. He said, yes, physically, yes, you can talk. When first Narendranath Swami Vivekananda met, his question was this: have you seen God? And can you show it to me? And it is only Ramakrishna Paramahamsa who answered authentically, yes, I have seen God. And I can also show it to you. Then you know the story around that. So that is the thing. So for him, there was no doubt. Although Bhagavan Ramana did not talk much about it, but he stated that the Giri or the mountain, Arunachala, he says, this is Shiva. Varanasi is a place where Shiva resides, but this mountain is very much the Shiva himself or itself. That was what he used to say. Therefore, he also advocated that going round the Giri Pradakshina, he did such advocate to many that we all know that even now it is a very great ritual, especially on the full moon days. They do that. Then if you look at their lineage, so to say. To what lineage? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had no gurus when he first began. Later came Totapuri. But before that, when he got all these experiences, it was all direct. He only experienced. It was practical. He only experienced all the whatever he realized. He did actually experiment in his own life and only then showed to all the humanity. And he would practically follow, not just theoretically read and forget. He would practically experiment because one of the things says that he had utter disrespect for money. He would not touch money. He used to say, um, he used to go near the Ganges bank with some coins. People would be seeing, he will take one coin and some mud and say that taki mati, mati taka, and throw it. Taki mati means money is mud. Maki taki means mud is money. And throw it to Ganges, which means he wanted to do that and show that money and mud, same, it is, don't give too much of importance to that. Bhagavan Ramana is also like that. Also, he did not demonstrate this way. He was very, very clear on these things. When, after the samadhi of his mother, Alagamma, there is that, even now, that Matrabhumeshwara temple. Some of his devotees wanted to build a temple. And they said that we will raise money. We will ask Jamnalal Bajaj, who was then rich, Bajaj Group. They wanted to ask 50,000 rupees. So they came and they just mentioned that we will want to do something. Then he made the following remark, Bhagavan Ramana. I've already told you not to beg in my name. Now I am telling you again, be satisfied with what you have. Did all these buildings in the ashram come up as a result of my begging? It all happened in the way it had to happen. Nothing happens purely as a result of personal effort. Said there is something it will take care, why do you bother? So both were somewhat like this. And even Bhagavan Ramana, at least in this Janma, there was no guru for him. Somebody who taught him and said, this is what you have to do. It all direct experience. He decided one fine day, one of his uncles came and somebody was asking, from where are you coming? And he said, Arunachala. That word struck him, Arunachala. That changed. And by then itself, although he was intelligent, Ekasantagrahi, he did not really like the regular school studies and things like that. Then he suddenly left home, just wrote a letter, left home. Don't search for this. That's what he said. Went. He took 3 days to reach. He came to Arunachala, and when he came, the doors were open. He came and stood in front of the Lord and said, Father, I have come. That's it. Then he came out. Then some barber came because they had all this beard, everything. Shall I shave? He said, okay, shave. Completely shaved. Then he had few paisa, he threw it. He, all this ceremonial thread, etc., he removed. Then he also threw all the cloths. And before he entered the temple again, the rain came as though to give him a purificatory bath. Then he entered the temple. There he sat for meditation, a deep absorption. He had no formal guru that way. So whatever he realized, it was from his own direct experience. So that is the greatness of both these people. But later, of course, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa um, had the had a guru, that is Totapuri. In fact, all their lineage comes from that Puri. All their Ramakrishna order, they have this last name as Puri. So this is how it comes, Totapuri. Because this Totapuri, before that, there was this Bhairavi Brahmani, another sage. She is the one who really declared to the whole community then that Ramakrishna is an avatara. In fact, she convened a meeting with all the great people of those days to discuss and show that Ramakrishna is an avatar of the God, incarnation of God. And she proves that there are a lot of other people who come, and finally they all agree that he is an avatar. And when the discussions were going on, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was there, simply looking here and there like a child, as if he is not even bothered about all these things. So that's how both of them, in reality, the bulk of their life had no guru to actually guide. It's all divine. But Totapuri, he is told to Ramakrishna that, all right, you are great, Mother Kali, you are accessible, but now you should go beyond that. Don't hook on to the name and form itself. You must go beyond that. So, how do you do that? He said, okay, sit and contemplate on Kali and then do. You have to come out of this. So, there is a story that he gets again the vision of Kali and he is not able to go beyond that. He tells Todapuri, no, I cannot go beyond it. He said, don't get struck. And next time when you have the vision of Kali and you are sitting, I will remind you to go beyond that. How did he remind? He took a piece of glass and scratched on his forehead. At that time, Ramakrishna is supposed to have remembered, oh, I should go beyond Kali. And there are stories where he said the same sword of Kali he took and sweared the very image and merged in the highest uh, Brahmic state. But nonetheless, yes, he did uh, stand for the highest of the Gnana Yoga also. But he did demonstrated whatever he preached. In fact, people talk because those days caste system was so much in the vogue. So he used to, on one occasion, he went to a sweeper's house. People who sweep. Those days, in the caste system, very low cadre. He went to their house and with his matted beard, he cleans their toilet. Looks very odd, but he did that to make the point clear that the system should go. Bhagavan Ramana is no exception. Even then, the caste systems were there. The so-called higher caste people would not sit and eat with the other caste. In Ramana Ashrama, meals were served to everyone. But Bhagavan Ramana did not want to inconvenience because he was in Brahmic state, neither want to listen to them. So there are the wooden partition. On this side, so-called higher caste. On this side, other people can sit and eat. Bhagavan Ramana would sit in between. He would appear to left side as well as to the right side. He said, I have no distinction. So this is what he followed. And when it comes to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, yes, no, he was. I'm not going exactly in the order in which it has happened, but some stories which I could recollect. We got married because of this kind of behavior he had. In fact, one day he got possessed with. There was one person, Jatadhari, was a great sage of those days. He was a ardent devotee of Sri Ram. So he used to carry the statue of Ram Lalla, Bala Rama, and always worship. He happened to come to Dakshineshwar. Naturally, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, any sadhu, he would come. He came to him, he saw this fellow is worshipping. And for Jatadhari, this was not just a statue, a living Balarama. He used to offer Naivedyam, he used to do puja as though it's very living. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, more so. He also got attracted to Ram Lalla. He got attracted so much that wherever this Jatadhari used to roam around, that place he used to go because of Ram Lalla. He says, I cannot leave. This fellow said, don't come with me. I said, don't follow me. He said, no. Ram Lalla is there. He was more living. And he got so much absorbed. And he used to say, hey, why are you sitting here? Ram Lalla. He used to feel Ram Lalla sitting here. Now we say, is it possible? Is such things possible? Now, thankfully, there are a lot of neuroscientists who say that it is very much possible. Like whatever we see, the image from what we see, or that will go to the brain through the afferent nervous system. And it is not one way. There is also a retro connection where the brain can show some of the images to the eyes and you feel it very much. So this research actually stemmed from some rare diseases like advanced stage of Parkinson's, we see hallucinations. Is it possible? Yes, if you are so intensely involved, then such things can manifest. And based on your samskaras, of course, not that it would happen. And it's quite possible. And Ramakrishna used to say, oh, this Ram Lalla is here, is climbing up here. And he used to say, why are you running to the shore? It's all hot sun. Come, come, come. He used to say. And looking at his behavior, the Jatadhari said, oh, this is too much. Once he almost slapped on Ramakrishna. What are you doing? Then Ramakrishna started weeping. Oh, I am with Ram Lalla. You are hitting me. He was crying. Then the Jadadhari has to make him sleep on his lap and console him. And finally, it so happened that when he has to leave Dakshineshwar, Jatadhari, he handed over that Ram Lalla to Ramakrishna. This belongs more to you than me. And apparently, it was there with Ramakrishna. And sometimes back, it was stolen, is what I heard somewhere. But anyway, so that was, and sometimes he used to become the Bhakta of Ram, Hanuman. And he was so much possessed with that Hanuman, and he used to dress like Hanuman, put his dhoti as a kacha and leave one tail kind of thing here. And in one occasion, he has said, when I was possessed with Hanuman, my tailbone had grown 6 inches long. So, so much. And those days used to be like Hanuman, always doing Ramajapa, living on the trees, really, living on the trees, eating the true fruits with the whole covering, just like a monkey god would do. He was like that. He was so much possessed. And this attitude of him was quite there with, uh, on many occasions. And in fact, sometimes he used to say that Krishna, Lord Krishna, and Gopikas. Now we say that when it comes to the aspect of Rasalila, there are so much of comments on Bhagavata that, oh, this is something, you understand. But it is not so. If you have so much intense love, please remember, lust is different. Love. Then that Krishna can manifest. That's how you see Gopikas. Each Gopika had one Krishna. How? Exactly the same. The neuroscientists today agree that it is possible. If you can be so intensely involved, your circuitry gets so wide that you will see the same thing outside. And for Ramakrishna, it was real. What he used to do? He used to dress like a Gopika with sari. So people thought that he's mad. He used to dress like women, sari, bindi, everything, and almost walk like a woman, womanish walk. And he said, I am with Krishna. So a lot of people, it's very difficult to understand. At the outset, it looks madness, but he is the one for whom other people can talk a lot, but you cannot become that. Here is Ramakrishna who could become that. That being was so easy for Ramakrishna. He can be in the being of an Hanuman, being of a Gopika. Not only that, he sometimes went to mosques, he became a Muslim, he did offer prayer to Allah. He said he had darshan of that Allah light. He went to church, he could realize Jesus. So that was the uh, strength. So Ramakrishna subjected himself to all these things. So core of all these things, what is the core of all these things? How did they got that kind of a state of the mind? Why most people forget ordinary like us, but even many other scholars, why there is difficulty is because they subjected themselves to severe austerity. If you look at the life of Ramakrishna, he observed severe austerity for nearly 12 years. He subjected themselves to starvation, no sleep. Ramakrishna says for about 6 years he has not slept. 6 years, no sleep. And looks like they were able to rewire the whole brain to a very high state where all these things they were able to manifest. Bhagwan Ramana, he underwent serious penance for 3.5 years, not talking to anybody, no proper food, no sleep, just sitting. So sitting in the 1,000 pillars of Arunachala temple, lot of people troubled him. Troubled means mischievous boys. They used to throw stones, but he was unmoved. So some people who took mercy on him, they shifted him to a more isolated place, Patala Lingam. And Patala Lingam, now it is maintained well. It looks clean. But then it was not so. It was a rejected piece of place where a lot of worms, all those scorpions, everything was there. He was unaware of all that. He was simply sitting. In fact, because of all those bites, the blood was oozing out of his skin, and skin was almost sticking to where he was sitting. So the Sheshadri Swami, who helped him those days, and some people used to get some food and leave it there. Whenever he came to external conscious, he used to eat something, whatever is there, that's it. So this severe penance they underwent, and that's how they were able to achieve that state. And whatever they experienced, both Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Bhagavan Ramana, does not contradict the existing authentic systems, be it be Dvaita or Advaita Vedanta, they all match because they were installed themselves in the truth. Therefore, they all match well. But however, we still get enamored by the miracle. There are many miracles in the life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. There are many miracles in the life of Bhagwan Ramana. They all look very interesting, also attractive. Here is what Swami Vivekananda said about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Because these were doing rounds even then, miracles around Ramakrishna. So we will conclude the talk with this statement from Swami Vivekananda. What nonsense about miracle of Ramakrishna? Miracles I do not know nor understand. Swami Vivekananda. Had Ramakrishna nothing to do in the world but turning wine into Gupta's medicine? Is what he asked. He was the object lesson of all theoretical knowledge given in the Shastra scriptures. He showed by his life what the rishis and avataras really wanted to teach. The books were theories. He was the realization. Got it? The books were theories. He was the realization. What a statement. This man had in 51 years lived the 5,000 years of national spiritual life and so raised himself to be an object lesson for future generation. And same thing applies to Bhagavan Ramana. All those many things happened around him. They were always rooted in Brahma or consciousness or truth. Okay, so thank you all very much for participating in this talk. I'm neither a scholar, not a great sadhaka, but still I thought from Yoga Mandir we should also given the fact that The new English year is starting. It's good to start this year by remembering these great spiritual luminaries, Ramakrishna Paramamsa and Bhagavan Ramana. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, sir.
So for all of us, we will do Patanjali Prarthana to conclude. That is our customary thing. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha
चित्तस्य पतेन वाचा
Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena
मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन
Yopakarotam Munina
योपाकरुत्तं प्रवरं मुनीना
Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi
पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि
Harihi Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
नमस्ते ओंकार सर
Namaskara, Guru.